You're on.
All right, good morning, 10:05 a.m., Friday, June 2nd, 2023. Jacob Pomisel calling to order the meeting of the Logansport Municipal Building Corporation. Roll call.
Jake Bombsall,
Here.
Dave Morris,
Present.
Michael Sims.
Present.
All right, on the approval of minutes for the March 3rd, 2023 meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any further discussion? Call for question.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Jacob Bombsall,
Yes.
Michael Sims.
Yes.
All right, on to the treasurer's report. Dave.
Okay. On March the 3rd, the balance in the checking account was $55,057.10. Since that time, we've written 2 checks. We wrote a check for $87 to the for taxes on 610 West Miami, and we had mowing charges for April in the amount of $190. So our current balance is $54,780.10.
All right. I will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make that motion.
All right, call for question.
Michael Sims,
Yes.
Jake Bombsall,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
All right, on the old business, so 610 West Miami mortgage. Kelly, did we ever hear from Jeff anymore on the 610 West Miami stuff, Stanton?
No.
Do you remember this one? It was the Logan Savings.
Yeah,
Had
we
a-
filed foreclosure. We had a, what, $200 lien or something on it for expenses.
This was the one that they had a mortgage for 32,500,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. With everything else going on, I'm not sure if he has gotten back to anyone on that one, but I haven't heard anything more from Stanton on the bank side of it. They were looking to get some money, but we don't have any money to give them.
How much did we, I mean, what our lien is how much?
We sold it for what? I don't even remember.
$100 or something? No.
I don't
If
remember.
that.
Yeah, it was next to nothing.
We got title to it?
Yes, I think.
I think we have a quick claim title.
Yeah.
I don't know. We bought that, what, a couple years back, 3 years back, and we bought it in a sheriff's sale, I believe.
I don't know.
Tax sale or
Before me.
sheriff's sale, and
That's 610, that's the one?
Yeah.
what was it? The neighbor just wanted to buy it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we bought it, we assumed it was a clean title, and then we went to sell it. Somebody purchased it, and when they did title work, found out there was this mortgage on it, so. I thought originally that they had already wiped the mortgage clean, but now apparently they're trying to see if they can get some money out of us for it. Yeah,
$100 maybe,
something,
$200.
maybe. I'm looking
Not very
at that
much.
number, but.
I don't know, I thought it would be in the minutes. I thought we talked about it.
Yeah, that amount's not in here.
Talking to Jeff about some animal stuff, so,
That's what I figured you guys have enough to talk about.
chatting yesterday.
So, yeah, just when you talk to him, ask him about that one. We got no money for it. If they want the property, they can have it. But otherwise, the neighbor bought it for
$100.
$100.
Yeah, plus closing costs.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because I think, was that one of Getz properties next door, so he bought it for?
That's what I'm pretty sure of.
Okay, on that, so as far as the other city properties, I know we ran into this one, it's not necessarily LMBC related, but how is that lien issue on selling the ones that were on the list before? Do you know how that is?
I don't think it's changed any because we haven't gotten any decisions from our IRS agents yet.
The timeline for that is basically gonna be the timeline for all the other IRS stuff.
As far as
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, essentially the day that that's settled, we can move forward.
Is that all of the city properties or the ones that we owned a couple years back, or like anything new that we've gotten? There's presumably nothing on it, right?
Usually it attaches to whatever you get.
I gotta say, I think it involved everything that we had at the time
Yeah.
when the issue was brought up, is what they put a lien on. I don't know that we've really gained anything much since then, so we're stuck on that. And the one thing I can tell you is I know that they have it in front of a, I don't know what you want to call it, a board or their auditor, whoever. It's actually in an active case state right now, so this was, I
Hard
want
to
to
tell,
say.
though, isn't it? I said it's hard to tell, but.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to think,
what's the difference?
wasn't it about 3 weeks ago, Kelly, that we got an update saying it within 60 days? So I'm guessing by August, we'll have a final determination, hopefully, but I've been thinking that for 2 years.
It's as good a guess as anything, just
Yeah, it's like,
vote the guess out.
You think they just waited it off?
But is any property that we owned a couple years back and anything that we have purchased or acquired since then, is it gonna have these issues on it? Or-
Based on nothing, I can't assume that if we bought a property today, they would put the lien on that as well. I assume just anything we owned at that time, they put a blanket lien on everything we owned.
That's what I figured. I just wasn't sure. I had some people asking about some of the city properties this week, and I was like, I have this meeting on Friday. I might be able to ask.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I would say if we've had anything older than like 20 or 21, probably those are for sure got the liens on them. Anything
Yeah.
past that, we're probably okay,
Okay.
would be my guess.
Yeah.
I would tend to guess the other way with the IRS. That they're putting a lien on your income. You get paid tomorrow. They come in, what's your paycheck and your bank account.
Maybe. I would just think they wouldn't have had the documentation if we required something now.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna pay it anyway.
I
If
know.
we have to pay it.
I assume this is the city lien update. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if there was any more specifics to when they were gonna.
I haven't seen that lien that they filed. It's like,
Like I said, we didn't even know that they had until Ross started looking to sell those properties. Because we were under the impression that none of that had ever happened, that they had never put a lien in and they had never,
They never told us they had.
right, they never informed us that they were doing that. So,
we don't care. We don't have to tell you guys anything.
yeah.
Sounds about right.
And the county never gave us a heads up. Hey,
No.
do you know what they're doing to you here?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay.
Open communication.
Yeah.
Anything more on that city lien piece?
Don't think so.
Okay. All right, and then as far as the railroad land purchase, I had met with a couple of their board members. Shoot, this would have been probably right after that March 3rd meeting. And kind of gave them the run through of the projects that we have going on over there, and potentially if we purchase that section between Exide and Trelleborg, the opportunities that we'd have to clean it up. They had to go back to their board. It was supposed to be later that month. I think it ended up being the next month. Whatever. I just got a call last week from Dave Kitchell, who is somehow associated with, I don't know if he's one of their board members or just helping them out. I don't know for sure what his relationship with it was. He was in that meeting, and he was the one that called me and said that they had a buyer that's interested in the rail, they would be interested in allowing the city an easement on the property to do the environmental cleanup, if we could feasibly do that through the grant. I don't really think that we can, and I'm not necessarily gonna run around in circles trying to get their stuff clean, because the purpose of using the cleanup funds on it, from my perspective, was to remove the rails and all of that using the funds, not just clean up the soil around the rails from lead or whatever. So that's the most recent update I got from them, and so,
We would have basically given you a lead-in trail
yeah.
to the river bluff from there.
Yeah, that's the only reason that I have interest in it. Not just cleaning up. They don't really need to clean up the soil necessarily if it's just going to remain rail. But keeping rail back there isn't necessarily the most conducive to what we're trying to do, on both of those properties anyway. So no real update other than they want to try to get us to the environmental remediation without actually selling us the property, because they still think they have this buyer that is going to come. Dave actually said he might come to the meeting, but I don't think he's going to. So that's the update. I'm still going to get back, and I am supposed to get some of the information on the X-Side project. I just got off a phone call a little bit ago with a guy from the state brownfield program. Once we get the deed and all of that kind of stuff finalized, so they'll send us like next steps email once we get them those final documents, and that'll be when I can kind of get the railroad folks to know we can't clean this up through an easement or anything. There's an offer to purchase it, and I offered assessed value for that piece of land, and the rest could be a discussion. Now, if they're just wanting to offload it all and don't want to, cut out the middle of their rail and keep all the rest of it, it doesn't make sense for them to do that, really. I kind of told them I would have discussions on that, but the only offer I made to them was $7,500 or whatever, the assessed value of that one piece, which is still more than it's worth. But so I'll go back. I'll reiterate that offer to them. I'll allow them to open up discussions if they want on selling all of it to us, at least the part that's in the city limits, because once it gets past, I don't know if it's Astor over there. Is it Astor on that end? Once you get past that, it's actually, the rail's actually technically in the county. Now down the road, we might have interest in it.
Interesting lines for the city limits.
Oh, yeah, it goes all the way, yeah. So I'm gonna get more information on the X-Side piece, just so that I know if we're able to acquire this somewhere within this project, can we use the funding? Because I was just thinking the prayer, thinking that if we got it, they might let us do it. But I'm not interested in the easement idea with the railroad. I'm interested in purchase, or they can do their own thing with it. And I'll reiterate that to them in the next couple of weeks, but that's where the update is. Hopefully they come back, and I can't imagine they're gonna have a buyer, a true buyer for a railroad without an exchange, and any useful service. But
Train.
well, it doesn't even have any places to service. The only use for it, from what I understand from their buyer, is that building where they can basically take cars off of the spur there and back them into that building and repair them. It's like a small repair shop or something. I don't know who would buy it to do that,
Right.
but it doesn't, before it serviced the coal yard and it serviced Exide and Trelleborg and whatever those properties were right there. Now none of them are there to service. So the only reason a buyer would purchase it is to have that little repair station.
Yeah.
They don't even have a switch down at the other end to get a train onto their tracks. So
How do you get to the Trelleborg property?
it's back behind Franklin.
Pine Franklin School?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get in there from several ends.
Yeah.
You can get in there off of, what is that, Tacoma. It goes in, it dead ends.
Yeah.
And it becomes
General
one
and
general
Washington.
street into there from the
Yeah.
east end, and then at the other end, there's a couple
And
access
they
roads.
just one general because they wanted to have a street.
I think that's Garden Street,
Years
the
ago.
other end.
Yes.
But yeah, down there,
Yeah.
part of it's an alley to get to
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Then there's access off Washington Street too. There's several gates there.
Okay. How many acres is there?
It's 12 or 13, I think. You add up Trelleborg and Exide, and I think it's right at 30 acres.
Yep. Right next to each other.
But you know,
Just
those
rails
guys,
separating them.
I think those guys, didn't they tell, Greg kind of toyed with them and said, we'd take it, they'd buy it all, and they told them the same thing. They had, already had a buyer for that part you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Sure they do.
And of course, then, Kelly could tell you, then they're not sure who even owned the piece that LU's buying. They're just gonna buy it even though they're not sure who.
I don't know that, you already sold it to the Memorial Hospital. 'Cause there's two lots.
It's like,
Yeah, it's all strange. I'm honestly hoping, I mean, if they're gonna sell it, just let the sale go through, and then the next person may be more amenable to working with us.
Fingers in it.
Every time we've indicated any kind of interest, there's always,
a buyer.
Iron.
you're gonna do
Yeah.
something with
Yeah.
it. That's been 25, 30 years now, so.
Yeah, so that's all contingent on them getting their switch back in, which will never happen, because there's no incentive for the other tracks to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna pay for it, they don't have the money to do it themselves, so.
They don't have the money to, from what I understand, they couldn't run a car down those rails in the shape they're in anyway,
No.
so.
Yes. So we're dealing with a group of, you know, people that are not being particularly realistic about the prospects of that piece of property. But the offer will still stand until they sell it to somebody else, and then I'll make the offer to them, and we'll see where we go from there. But that's the update.
Yeah,
Continuing saga.
Yeah.
They had a Christmas morning, had an electric train, and this is that dream coming true or something.
Anybody else have anything on that, or any new business that they want to bring up?
no,
Nope.
I think we really looked at it, and I haven't had talked to Scott Crowd, but that railroad property down there, because we had it for years as when we were burning coal, and then we used to get it until 25 years ago by rail, and they bring those cars in and have to shake them out, and so we had some shakers or whatever they called the things, and then we just quit doing it. Trucks brought it into the.
Yeah.
So we may have title of some sort, there's a bunch of that down there off of Michigan Avenue anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
That part shouldn't be useful for, that's why they're willing to sell it, because it's not useful for the building.
Right.
Doesn't connect to the building. So.
Is the building on the other side of Michigan? Is that that?
The
one
building
shape?
is,
Just off Sixth Street
Yeah.
there. That big red barn that sits there.
Yeah. That's where they used to keep the engine, remember, during the Iron Horse Festival?
Yeah.
So if you go straight across, when you go
Contribution
across
to
the
that.
bridge, it's right there. Is it Miami, right there at the corner of Miami and Sixth Street?
Okay. Yeah.
It's been several years.
Sell it to the utilities, because it was like, oh, that's on the land and sell it. I mean, that was a pipe dream too.
It's been several years since they had coal cars come in there.
Yeah.
They found out it was cheaper bringing it in by the truck.
all right. Well, no other new business. Is there any public comment?
Here's the public draws.
All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Call for question.
Jacob Palmasol,
Yes.
Michael Sims,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
All right, we're adjourned, 10:24 a.m.
Jake, there's
I'll give you your folder back
the
there,
minutes to
Ross.
sign.